like to bring the meeting of the Township of Hamilton Committee to order, Monday, September 16, 2019. Please stand for the flag salute.
Where's my, you see the candle?
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay?
Yeah, that's laid against the chair, I guess.
I can hold on.
Okay.
John, would you like to lead us?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January the 10th, 2019, and the Atlantic County Record on January the 16th, 2019.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Gishard?
Present?
Mr. Kurtz?
Present.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
Mayor Schenker?
Here. Can we have a moment of silence for private reflection? Thank you. I guess we don't have any presentations, additions, deletions, delayed agenda. I don't believe we have any there. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Michael?
Yes, Bruce Stry, 3A. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two concerns with that I'd like perhaps you can address if you feel appropriate under best practices for the MUA. Two concerns. A few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, the American Water Company approached the RMUA. It was their initiative to tie into the Hamilton Township MUA. I would like to see or like to hear some discussion how the township, since you're discussing best practices, how to maybe avoid maybe a future sale of the Hamilton Township MUA to American Water Company. As you know, American Water Company, that's their business, and they pretty much own most water companies in Hamilton Township and beyond.
Right.
So that, to me, and the reason I think that is a threat to our ratepayers is because the water rates with American Water Company are triple that of Hamilton Township MUA. Hamilton Township MUA is very well run. It's a very sound and solid asset to the ratepayers, and I think it would be something that the Hamilton Township governing body should address if that should go forward. So that's an interest to me on behalf of the ratepayers. The second best practices discussion I'd like to hear is the MUA's proposed moving their offices from Kenskull Avenue to Old Egg Harbor Road. For the benefit of moving 4 employees in the office at a cost of between $2 and $3 million. I don't think that is a best practice, so I would hope that maybe you could address that best practice tonight, along with the potential, and this could be in the short term or the long term, of the American Water Company. So there are two things that concern me, both as a ratepayer and a resident of Hamilton Township. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Mike?
Yes, our freeholder chairman, Amy Gatto.
Good evening, guys. I'm here to comment on 7B. And I just wanted to officially just come and give a word of support to John Henderson, Good Time Tricycle, who's making application to this for the witchcraft event that he has planned. I'm sure he's going to come up and speak about it, but I just want to remind everybody, we went through the process a few years ago to enable events at Lake Lenape Park to be able to have alcohol at them. And now, in addition to our wine festival, which is, by the way, this weekend, John and Good Time Tricycle Productions has brought the Dragon Boat Festival, which has been hugely successful, well-attended, well-run. I think everybody would agree. Mm-hmm. And now a really creative, awesome event, Witchcraft, coming again to Lake Lenape, using both sides of the lake in really creative ways, out of the box, innovative, and I think that's the kind of things we need here in Hamilton Township to continue to attract people here, to see that we are the place to come to bring new and exciting things, and we are the place to visit. And so I just support that application and look forward to the Witchcraft event in October. Thank
Amy,
you.
before you sit down,
Sure.
did you say they were going to use both sides of the lake?
Yeah, and I'm sure John will make mention of that.
What type of
He's going to have camping on the other side.
attendance you anticipating?
We anticipate just for the witchcraft portion itself, 2,500 to 3,000.
2,500?
Yep. And now the camping across the lake, we stuck with the regular guidelines that go with camping over there. We just help facilitate the ability for people to book. At this point, we've sold the 37 camps that we've sold.
Thank you.
Are they planning on swimming over to Lenape Park?
If there's going to be, excuse me, if there's going to be multiple questions to this gentleman, he needs to come to the microphone and say his name. Sorry.
Hi, my name's John Henderson. I'm the executive producer and CEO of Good Time Tricycle Productions.
Thank you. Judy?
The thing that bothers me is the availability of the campsites where people will decide I can swim it over
Well, that's
to
not
the
an
other
option.
side.
So what we've done is we've brought in jitneys to the equation. So all the campers are aware that the only way to and from is via jitney. We've put in there the ordinances that nobody swims at night, after 7 o'clock or after dusk, I believe it is, or half an hour before dusk,
Yeah.
that nobody enters the water. There's no kayaking, there's no water activities as it leads up to Witchcraft. We're providing transportation to and from the camping areas. For
Oh,
attendees.
okay, so you'll have the jitneys.
We'll
come.
have 4 jitneys that just keep round robining back and forth from parking facilities as well as the camping sites.
Okay, because I know the temptation might be out there.
Yeah, we produce several events like this. The Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival is one of our events. So we're used to this kind of format, large scale, large amount of people, alcohol, festivities.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else, Michael? We're good? All right, we'll move on to 3, discussions, formal actions may be taken. We will have a best practices discussion, Hamilton Township MUA. Are we just,
I don't know if Steve wanted to give us an overview of his handout.
okay,
Basically, we're here is, under the best practices, the township gets a point for having this meeting to discuss
Yes, to have the MUA.
viability of the MUA as a township
okay,
organization.
all right. Yeah, Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Blankenship. I'm the Executive Director of the Hamilton Township MUA. I did prepare a little statistic sheet like we do every year, and I believe that was handed out to you. I wasn't really going to go through that, but if you want me to, I can hit some of the highlights.
I think we could, if it, bare minimum, the new building that, is moving forward as far as I know, the last I heard, it's kind of in a stall position now because of the bridge. You have to do a traffic study or something?
So basically, we went before the planning board. The planning board withheld any action because they would like us to perform a traffic study. And as you know,
Yeah,
the
the
bridge
bridge.
on Old Egg Harbor Road is now out longer than
Right.
anticipated. But until that bridge is completed, it's hard to do a traffic study on Old Egg Harbor
Yeah, I
Road.
agree.
So at this point, we're in limbo. We did make application to the state for the infrastructure bank, and they are going to be sending some people down next week to do a survey of the site. As I mentioned the previous meetings when I did a presentation here, we were looking to try to go through the infrastructure bank because they can go out and get a market rate. In this case, if we were able to participate, unfortunately into this fiscal year that the state's in, we could get 50% at 0% and 50% at the market rate, which would probably come out to be a little bit less than 2%. For 20 years is typically what we've done in the past. So right now we're on hold with that until we can get the traffic study done and then go back to the planning board and appear before them.
Okay.
Steve, has there been any other options other than, we know you can't expand your current facility, but rather than move over to Underhill area, looking at other sites within the township that make sense?
Well, I think one of the things that the township faces is, being that it has a lot of county government within it, if we take a property, then it goes off the tax rolls. So one of the things we were looking at, one of the benefits to consolidate over at the existing operations facility was that we could take the current parcel where the admin building is and put that back on the tax rolls. So we really didn't want to look at another piece of property in the town because, again, that would take that off the tax rolls, and we felt that was a disadvantage. So
I understand what you're saying, but by the same token, I'm sure there's a lot of ratepayers that got so used to coming into town and walking into the office there and paying their bills.
Well, we still have those, but what we've found is more and more with electronic payments that we've enabled, we're finding more and more people are either using their bank and sending a check electronically, or they're going online and just going ahead and filling out. We're seeing a lot higher percentage, so actually the walk-in traffic has slowly been cut down.
Just one more question, and I forgot about it. I remember you used to do the pump stations for the South Jersey Transportation Authority. What would happen if you didn't take care of them for them?
Well, we do the operations. Basically, they would either have to take that over themselves or find another vendor to do that. What's nice is that's kind of a shared service agreement that's been ongoing for over 20 years, and we're in the process of continuing that. So,
thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Since the presentation you made previously to us, has anything changed in the plans or the cost of the project?
Obviously, the cost, we went by the architect's estimate, and basically we do everything we can to minimize that cost. As a government agency, you've probably had some of your own experiences going out to bid and seeing where some of the costs come in. So again, as a government agency, there's certain processes that we have to go through in order to take bids, and so hopefully at the time that we go out, that'll be an advantageous time, and hopefully we'll get a good bid result out of that. But basically, we try to do what we need to do. It's not an elaborate facility by any means. So again, as I mentioned, we try to use the existing facilities that we have to their best purpose.
What specifically was the problem with the old building?
Well, the existing building is basically aging out, and you're going to have to put money into that building also. And that was part of a study that we did. There's no parking at that building whatsoever. If we put more people in, and we're probably going to have to hire some more people, then where are they going to park? Right now, with the two people that we have that drive there, if you get any kind of traffic on that road gets blocked off. And it's one of the smaller streets in the township if you drive down there. The other thing is it's really in a residential neighborhood. If you were going to build something like that today, I don't know that you would build it in that spot. It just so happened that at the time that worked out. But really, to have people there and then try to maintain that building, maintain the services, and then manage people also. It's very difficult to do. And so that's one of the things that we've looked at. So basically to provide better parking for our people, for our customers, provide a better layout for our employees and the public when they come, and to meet the needs that we have. One of the things that I talked about was the Water Quality Accountability Act. The state last week had a hearing on that. They're going to have a series of hearings. So this is causing utilities, to really look at their asset management plans. And I'm assuming that the township and the county and the state hopefully will do the same thing, because basically what's happening is, we have to make sure that we have funds available to reinvest in our infrastructure and some of the growing demands that are coming. You've heard some of the different chemicals that people have been finding in their water. We've been lucky enough not to experience that. But as technology gets better and better and is able to detect to lower and lower levels, then we don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know what the future regulatory environment is going to be. But we have to be prepared to meet that. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to look at by going forward, make sure that we have enough money aside to reinvest in our infrastructure so we're not a burden to our ratepayers. So if we do that the right way, we can kind of keep our rates down, and basically that's attractive to people that are looking to come in. We have capacity in our sewer, we have capacity in our water system, so if somebody wants to come here, we have that capacity and we have it at a good price. So that makes us competitive to other areas.
I would just make a suggestion that there be some dialogue between the MUA and the sports groups, because you're bringing more traffic to an area where it's already a problem with kids going across from practices and things to the stand to another field. And I just think it would be wise to have some kind of dialogue there that could be also worked in with the traffic study.
Yeah, that's something I'm sure the board would be glad to undertake.
Now, with the monies that are going to be used for the new facilities, does that cut you short on addressing perhaps the newer regulations?
Could you repeat your question for me?
Yeah, I mean, the new facility, what is the cost going to be?
It's roughly $2 million to $2.5 million.
$2 million. All right. I don't look at your books, but $2 million's a lot of money. And I'm thinking that if down the line the state says, hey, you got to get to another level on your qualifications, I would think the $2 million should stay where it is. I don't know. That's my own opinion.
It's like any facility that you have at your house or your roller rink. Mm-hmm. Have you not invested any money in your house, in maintaining your house with a roller rink over 20 years?
As little as we can.
Well,
No,
we're not trying to spend a lot, but at the same time, you have to maintain things. And so basically, that's what we tried to do. We looked at the facilities that we have, and we looked at combining things over at the operations facility. And it really came out to where the difference, there's a slight savings, but in the long run, we feel that by combining everything from a managerial point of view, it works out a lot better, and it works out a lot better for our ratepayers. You have to spend money one way or the other. The fallacy is if you do nothing, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you do nothing, that's how you get in trouble.
So in the Underhill Park, if you ever go to one of the Lakers games, you know that parking is a major, major problem there, and it's something that we as a township have to look at moving forward. If you put this building there, and I have not seen the plans for the building, so I don't even know how you are situated, I would like to see your parking be used by the folks on the weekends for these football games. Is that something that could be a discussion?
That's something that the board has already started to talk about.
Okay.
And that would probably be something that we would discuss with the planning board. Again, it depends, I think we were looking at putting in 29 spaces. So we would have to make sure that that's sealed off so that people can't just wander into the back and
I get you,
and things
yeah.
like that.
Well, that's-
But that's something that I think we could definitely take a look at, and the board has
Okay.
already started to talk about.
Would be a benefit to the township for, you know, a short-term fix to a long-term problem. I was
Every
parked all the
every
way
little
in the
bit helps
weeds
out there,
last
so.
weekend.
You know, so.
Okay,
Regarding the regulations, you were talking about possible future regulations. We all read about the impurities that people are finding in their water supplies, biological as well as chemical. And I wonder whether the tests we're conducting are comprehensive.
The tests that we're conducting are what?
Comprehensive, the water tests.
Well, basically, we do the tests that are, we're directed to by DEP,
Right, but
which in
that-
turn is directed by EPA. And basically, if people come to us and they have certain questions, we will do additional tests that way, but, you know, we are doing the tests that we're required to do.
Yeah, what I'm reading is in many cases that doesn't cover a lot of materials that are entering the water supplies, like these drugs that people throw away.
So what you're seeing there is like pharmaceuticals that are getting in. So that is an issue, and that's something that the industry and the regulatory groups are looking at. One of the nice things that we have two aquifers that we pull off of. One is the Kirkwood-Cohansey, so that's an unconfined aquifer. So if we were going to have problems, that would typically show in that aquifer. The other aquifer is the lower Kirkwood. That is a confined aquifer, very deep. The water age there is very old. So that water is in a lot better shape. It's not necessarily exposed to some of the surface chemicals and whatnot that can be deposited on the land surface and then leach down into an unconfined aquifer. So far we've been lucky. Now, one of the things that we also do is there's unregulated contaminant monitoring that EPA asked us to participate in. So we're in, I believe, round 4 right now. So as some of these things come up, they ask not just our utility, but utilities throughout the United States to do this additional monitoring and report that back. And typically what happens is out of the UCMRs, if something starts to come up there, that's where you'll start to see the regulatory action take place, you know, through EPA or the Department of Environmental Protection.
So as I understand what you're saying, we have a choice about where we get our water. We have a couple of aquifers.
Right.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So the other thing is, you know, we do put out a consumer confidence report. We have probably the last 5 to 6 years listed on our website. And that basically, if there's any detects that come out of there, they're listed within that consumer confidence report that comes out every year.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, the question came up earlier. Is there any attempt at this juncture to have any negotiations with the other water company?
No, that was an emergency interconnection, and if you look on your list, one of the things that we're doing to make sure that we have our redundancy in place, there's a water main that runs from Farragut Avenue through the woods out onto Old Egg Harbor Road down by Pinehurst, and we're in the process of, one of the things we're looking to do is to replace that main. So no, we have not had any additional discussions on an emergency interconnection or a connection of any type.
okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Just want to say regarding Bruce's comment, I'm not aware of any interest or any talk about joining with American water standards. I think we're happy with what we have.
I think if you look, ACUA did a little study on the rates, I think in the area. On the wastewater side, I think we had the lowest rate out of their survey. On the water, I think we were somewhere in the middle. And that was substantially below the top line rates.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Steve.
thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll move on to, we have a resolution for best practices. We have a motion to
I'll
accept.
make that motion.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it. Move on to B, MLAA, request for bonfire at Underhill Park. Anyone have any discussion? Read your letter, John, and, or Brian, excuse me. My bad.
Brian Kurtz, representing MLAA. Any questions I can help you answer?
You're going to, upon approval here, you're going to go through the motions with the Forestry Service and all the
Yeah, we have to get a hold of,
insurances and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have to get a hold of the Department of Forestry as far as obtaining permits. We have to talk to Maysland Fire Department as far as having someone see what needs to be done, whether it needed to be there or be on standby.
Okay.
The other thing, we talked to Mr. Laws, because he does our insurance for us, as far as getting an addendum for a policy. There is one out there we can get right away, but it doesn't meet the limits that is required by the township. So Mr. Laws asked us if we could have 3 more days to go ahead and get that approved. And that's only for our cost. We'll have the coverage, but I can let you guys know about that as well. The only thing in the past we had it in the parking lot. Now with the fence right there and the clamshells, it might be a little bit tricky. So we are open to suggestions as far as what location to use for that.
Okay.
So, but as far as the insurance and the fire department and Department of Forestry, it's still something we still have to do. So if we were to be approved contingent upon, showing you those things and the proof of those things, that would be great. And it doesn't mean that we're still going to be able on our end to make it happen for this year, but at least we could go ahead and go through with it next year. If we
Yeah,
can't do it.
let's run it through and see if it's all right. Mr. Solicitor, you have any issues with this at all?
Location is huge.
Yeah,
Input from the fire department's huge.
yeah.
If it's in downtown, Mays Landing Fire Department would have to dedicate some services. Yeah, I do have some issues with it. I would have to review the insurance contracts
Okay.
to make sure, among other things, we're named added insured and that there's enough protections in place. I remember the years that we had it at Underhill, but it's all been improved now.
Okay, so,
There's places I can think of, but each one of them have an attendant risk.
yeah,
If you went back to the old airfield where it's additional parking behind the girls' baseball fields, it's so dry back there right now, it's crazy. We haven't had rain in 3.5 weeks.
right.
That's the question I was gonna ask. What about the weather, how dry it is? Shouldn't that have an impact on whether we have the fire or not?
Yes, sir. I
Forestry
do
Service.
believe so. That's why talking to the Department of Forestry and talking to the fire department is something we would definitely want to see happen and have their
Okay.
advice and input.
Good.
So, yeah.
What's the date, tentative date that you did?
Tentative date as of right now is Friday, October 4th, from the hours of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So, okay, go
Why the
ahead.
bonfire?
I'm sorry?
Why the bonfire?
It's just something, growing up, I think all of us have done, through whatever level of sports. I think it just brings a sense of camaraderie with the kids. Gets them a little pumped up, if you will, as far as for the following day's game. I think it's a great thing for the kids, and I'd like to see it start happening again. If we can make it happen. I mean, we'd like to do it, and like I said, everything we do is for the kids, and if we can do it for them, great. Gives them something else to do on a Friday night as opposed to running around.
Kind of reminds me when I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid. We were at camp at night. We had a bonfire. They woke us all up at night. We didn't know anything about it. We had to run around the bonfire. Then they took a stick in there and got it red hot and stuck it on our belly where they put a little bit of grease. And I still have a mark there from that. You guys aren't going to be doing that.
That's probably not going to fly. Just saying.
We won't be branding any kids.
Wow.
Strike that from the
Try that,
record.
but we
They
won't
weren't
let the
trying to
kids.
roast you, were they?
I don't know.
Mr. Solicitor, do you have a problem with that? A little bit? All right.
Our first meeting in October is the 7th.
Okay.
Trying to be a realistic approach to this. There's too
Can we, yeah, there's a lot.
Many contingencies, in my opinion, to accomplish your date.
And we're totally understanding this is a last minute thing for us, and everybody involved. We discussed this, and then we discussed the possibility that we might have to put it off till next year as well. So I mean, if that's the case,
Yeah, I think if everything falls in line, I don't know I think what you're saying is it's probably going to be late October or November, correct?
Well, there's some significance to that date. Is that before your first game?
That's the homecoming. So
Oh.
that's why we were gonna shoot for that. As far as pushing homecoming off, I don't believe that's anything we can do
No.
at this point.
No.
But I can also bring it back to the members at our meeting, at the end of this month and kind of let them know, hey, listeners, can we do another date? Something like that. And you know, like I said, if not, if we can't do it, then we shoot for next year. And at least this way we'll have a whole year
Does
to
it
get
have,
our stuff together.
pardon me, I'm sorry.
I would love to see a bonfire.
Me
I
too.
would go.
Right.
I did it when I coached baseball in the MLAA.
Right.
But getting it accomplished between now and October 4th, I don't see as plausible or possible.
Okay.
Because you're putting the contingencies in the hand of a body other than yours.
Yes, that's my concern.
And the fire department, half of them may agree on this and half of them may agree on that. You could say we could consider Knight Avenue, but you got neighbors there. There's a certain amount of public education that would have to happen if
Yeah.
it was near a neighborhood. You got parking issues wherever you put it. And I would love to see it happen, Brian.
Oh, I know.
And I would go out of my way to drop whatever I'm doing.
bridge
to
would
make
be
it happen.
done.
I know you would. I know you would.
I don't see it.
Well, I mean, you guys got a lot of legwork to do on your end
Oh, yeah.
to get
Yeah,
this.
we
I
do.
mean, even if we were to say yes tonight, you would have to bring it back to us for,
Yeah, and,
I guess we can't really say yes tonight because we have to have final approval of what.
and even if it were approved tonight, I mean, like I said,
Yeah, there's a-
previously, I don't know that we could have everything accomplished before that date anyway.
Right.
This was just something I wanted to bring to your attention, and if it was possible, we could make it happen. If not, then like I said, hopefully there's another date this year we can do it. If
Okay.
not, we all, after discussions
So-
at the meeting,
Art,
know
the
it
other
could be
thing
pushed
I'm
back.
thinking is that if it's on municipally owned land, we would need input from the JIF, and you're certainly not going to get that by October the 4th.
Right.
Huh?
We have that,
You have that already?
yeah.
You don't have a location, though.
They told us the amount of assurances.
Oh, well, that's the easy part. I can do that, but, it's all the other parts.
And like, if you guys have any ideas too, location, and we'll talk to the fire department too. I mean, we're open to suggestions, trust me. We'd like to make it happen. So, and again, even for next year, if we could try to kind of, get together and make it happen,
Yeah, we'd like to, well, I can't speak for everybody up here. I'd like to see it happen,
sure.
but I also understand
Oh, I understand
our
yeah,
concerns here.
Very much understand that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I think, why don't we take it this way, and why don't you go through the motions?
Sure.
Find out what you gotta find out. Let's try and help with them get a location, if we can come up with something to move this along. And then bring it back, and then I don't think you'll have any problem getting it approved.
I'll definitely do that. I'll stay on top.
I think October 4th is gonna be a stretch, but
Yeah, we kind of knew that. We kind of knew that going into it. So that's no problem. But yeah, I'll get in touch with
I
everybody.
mean, you
we
might
can get
wanna
in touch
do it
with.
for the last game of the season.
Well, and that's an option too. If we can, and even if we can get all it before then, we'd like to, we can see. What
Yeah,
happens.
I mean, I'd love to
know?
see you do it, but
But yeah, I
it's
mean, it's definitely, and like I said, nowadays
got
there's
these
a lot of hoops
pesky
to jump
rules
through
we have to
compared
follow.
Oh no, we definitely will. We definitely will.
Okay,
So, but I'll get everything together and I'll get a hold of Mike and I'll make sure it's all taken care of.
okay.
All right.
Very
Thank you. I
good.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Brian. Appreciate it. We have no public hearings. Entered no ordinances. Okay, awards, bids, contracts, and change orders. A, resolution authorizing option year 2 of the extension of the award bid 2017-10 janitorial services to Action Janitorial Incorporated for the term January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Award not to exceed $42,000.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution authorizing option year 1 of the extension of award bid 2018-10 as needed tree and stump removal and tree trimming services to Rich Tree Service Incorporated, South Plainfield, New Jersey, for the period of January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Award not to exceed $20,000.
Mike, is this the same company that's doing our tree service? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, this is
excellent
extended.
job. They did a phenomenal job in the park with those big trees. It was like a well-orchestrated machine, the way that they handled those trees. I think that's great, so I have no problem with it.
what kind of trees are we gonna put in? in place of those trees? Or is that going to come under this contract?
No, this is the removal. Our landscape architect is working on that right now. Is coming up with a plan for some trees to put back in Memorial Park and some landscaping around here as well.
Now, this is the one that planted trees and they died, right?
No,
No, this is just for
It's a different
maintenance.
one?
no, this is just in case
Removal.
we have a dead tree or a tree falls across the road, it's too big for us, or there's a tree standing that we need to take down because it's dangerous. We call in this contractor. Either we can't get to it because there's too many, or it's too big.
I'm a little
I thought this
disappointed
was it.
that there are no local contractors, but I know when I talked to you about it, nobody bid. It seems strange that, you know, with all the tree services we have here that are local, that none of them would be interested in this. But that's the way it is, I guess.
They may have a lot of work out there now,
I guess so.
and their prices here are pretty reasonable too. Right up to stump grinding. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? Seeing no questions, Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, resolution authorizing the extension of bid 2017-12 pump maintenance and testing for the Township of Hamilton to Fire Apparatus Repair Incorporated, Hamilton, New Jersey, for the period of January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Award not to exceed $30,000.
so moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing no questions, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
D, resolution authorizing option year 3 of the extension of award of bid set 2017-11 as needed plumbing services to Falaska Mechanical Incorporated, Vineland, New Jersey, for the period of January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Total cost not to exceed $25,000.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second,
We have a motion and second. Are any questions? There are no questions. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
I'm going to abstain. I used to work for Falaska Mechanical.
It's 4 yes, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you. E, resolution authorizing option year 3 of extension of award of bid number 2017-14 as needed carpentry services to Warner's Construction Incorporated, EHT, New Jersey, for the period of January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. No cost to exceed $35,000.
I'll move that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
F, resolution authorizing option year 1 of extension of award of bid 2016-04A for fleet maintenance to First Vehicle Services in the amount of $545,427.03.
I'll move that resolution.
I'll second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. G, resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 automated license plate readers from Celex ES Incorporated at a cost of $14,025. Total cost not to exceed $28,050.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
H, resolution authorizing Dorothy Gallagher, CFO, to execute the agreement and award of a contract to Bowman and Company, LLP, of Voorhees, New Jersey, to provide professional services to the township for administration of the Section 125 cafeteria plan for the 2020 plan year. Amount not to exceed $2,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Number 7, consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve items A,
Excuse me, please.
C, and D.
May I ask that you take 7D out, please?
7D?
D?
Okay,
D as in dog.
okay, 7D, okay. Items A, C, D, E1 and E3, G through M, and we're gonna pull item D, item B, and item E2 for further discussion.
So moved.
We have a motion, second?
Second.
We have a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed? The ayes have it. Let's move to consent agenda item 7B. Excuse me. Resolution, no objection to the Division of ABC granting temporary consumer alcoholic beverage festival event permit to Ducktown Tavern for Witchcraft Beer and Spirits Festival to be held 10/19/19 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Beer and spirits will be distributed. This item's up for discussion.
I have a question that I could ask for the
Okay.
organizer who's here today, if I could. What arrangements have been made with the township for working with the police department? Have you made those contacts already?
We have.
Okay.
We've did work
And-
with Lieutenant Cressy and Detective Armitage.
Chief, so we have a plan in place?
We're also working with park rangers. We'll have park rangers on during the event, as well as private security.
So will we need any, I mean, you're handling all security. We don't, are you requiring any of our police
So
department?
we'll have 2 officers working detail.
Okay.
We'll have 5 park rangers on staff working the actual event itself, on top of 17 security professionals with 3 supervisors.
Okay,
And then the majority of our staff is tip certified.
okay.
How do they handle it with ID for underage?
Everybody who goes into the event will be ID'd, everybody, regardless of age, size, color, whatever. And then everybody's wristbanded. There is no re-entry. Once you leave the event or the festival, you're done for the day.
So, I'm sure you're aware, our concern is that the neighbors are not bothered.
Yeah, correct.
I know it's a big event, and it's probably one of the biggest events we've seen out there. And it's going to be in the nighttime hours, so if this is, we want to make sure that this stays under control.
Us too. I mean, we're looking at this, when we build an event like this, we look at a long-term program. We're not looking at,
gotcha.
hey, we're here for a year and then we're gonna, this is kind of the home of witchcraft, as it will be. We're gonna make best efforts, if not, almost make it impossible for people to park in the roller skating rink, because we know that's going to be an issue. So we're going to ideally put staff outside. If you're going to witchcraft, you park here. If you're not going to witchcraft, you're going to park, at other locations once the lot fills up, because I do anticipate that lot will fill up, and then we'll start to use other spaces, including the mall and whatnot. We're set to bring in 5 jitneys with the potential of 8 jitneys and 2 school buses if need be, and we can track that via ticket sales and how they go.
Okay.
The good part about the event is all of our ticket sales are through Eventbrite, so it allows us to communicate with our customers constantly.
That's good.
So for, say, we want to put out a message saying, hey, you cannot park here, here, and here, we can give maps, we can give all that. We're going to have an app live before the event, which sends notifications as well. We're going to be working with Lyft and Uber to make sure people are, getting back and forth responsibly. Ideally, we would prefer everybody take alternative transportation, so nobody's drinking and driving. We've done perks and benefits for designated drivers. So designated drivers, get soft drinks and a pretzel for free, and a hug for, driving their friends to and from. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to mitigate a ton of traffic, but we do understand that traffic is going
So
to
you
be a
have
bit of an issue.
off-site parking and all that
Correct.
set up, all right.
And you're covering all the security costs?
Yes, sir.
For the Park Service and for the township?
Yes, sir.
Have you notified the people that live next to Lenape Park?
That was our plan once this was passed.
I
We
like
got
your
house. We
designated
knew.
driver, too.
What's that?
I like your designated driver.
It's important. I mean, there's a level of responsibility as us as festival producers need to adhere to. Designated driving, shuttles, knocking on neighbors' doors just to give them a kind of, hey, here's the run of show. Here's when you're going to expect lights that are going to pop on, lights that are going to
Now,
come
you
on.
know, even when there was the watering hole up the street on Weymouth Road, whenever they used to have their band playing outside, that sound used to filter all the way across Lake Lenape. And of course, they had asked them at the time if you could keep it down and put some sound deadening curtains. You're going to be right there in the heart of that neighborhood at those hours, and you're going to have one band, two bands?
No bands.
No
We were
bands. What kind of
cognizant of
music?
how loud. We're going to go from 6 at night till 10 o'clock. So the noises you're going to hear would be similar to if you went to a haunted hayride, things of that. So the play on witchcraft is, this is the first craft beer and spirits festival in the state of New Jersey. The craft beer festival, my company wrote the guidelines for the ABC to execute those for the state. This is kind of the first event of its type to hit the state. And the witchcraft is actually a play on words. Witchcraft, are you a distilled spirits person or are you a craft beer person? A lot of people think it goes to that occult world. It's not that. But we're encouraging that whole Halloween vibe, costume contest, things like that. We were cognizant of the sound, right? So the sound being loud beat music, loud bands. So we took that out of the equation. One of the things we added is we do with a lot of our other events is a silent disco. Driven, not loud music driven. There'll be noise. It's going to be the ambient sound of 2,000 to 3,000 people on stage.
I notice you're going to have a bonfire also.
We're going to have, so we backed away from the bonfire concept because when I think of bonfire, I'm thinking of a 30-foot fire. You've got a lighthouse there that's an icon. I don't want to have any part of putting that in distress at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of small campfires in the sand, just using regular wood, that once it burns out, we just cover it up. We're going to dig the holes, and we're going to have attendees have the ability to make s'mores right there on the sand.
Is the county requiring coverage?
Yes, we have coverage, yes. I believe Rita has copies of all of our coverage.
What is the limit to what they can consume?
So they're 2 ounce. So when it comes to the craft beer pieces, it's 2 ounce samples. When it comes to the liquor, it's a 1 ounce sample.
So they can go from one venue to the other and get two and two and two.
So the beauty of what we do is as we do it, and it's a trick we've learned as we've developed the Down Beach Seafood Fest, the Atlantic City Seafood Fest, the Atlantic City Food and Wine Festival, the Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival. These are all programs that we built and developed. As in an alcohol event or an alcohol tasting event, we create distractions along the way to slow people down. The campfire being one of them, the silent disco being another. We're going to do pumpkin carving tutorials. We're going to do pumpkin pie eating contests, nodding for our apples. We've got some charitable partners that are going to be there. So there's going to be different programs which will slow people down, which will say, hey, this has my attention, and they're not walking from table to table to table to table and consuming.
You have vendors there for food?
Yes. And we're working with the county health department with that, Jill and her team.
Well, the experience you had with the Dragon Festival, are there any changes that you're going to make resulting from that experience?
From the Dragon Boat?
Yeah.
Our learnings was the parking in the roller skating rink. That was one of our learnings from that. How to work with the park rangers was another piece of our learnings. And then just really how to navigate and lay out the site so it flows best. When we brought our teams in for the Dragon Boat race, we put a lot of people on the paths. Right, as far as tenting, we learned that created egress problems. People couldn't get through. Emergency management couldn't get through. So we're going to utilize, because it's a Halloween event, we can utilize between the trees, things of that nature to help flow of traffic. And when people want to walk the path, they can clearly walk the path. If for some reason we have to get OEM through the event, they can use the path. So we're not blocking the path like we did with the Dragon Boat race.
Did you have to make the same presentation to the freeholders?
I had a conversation with a couple of the freeholders.
No, I mean go before all the...
Just during when we were a part of when the liquor license process happened, we were in trouble. And this was one of the events that we had slated in that thought process.
Did a great job, Greg.
Thank you. It's, we're really proud of the event. We're really proud of what that event does and allows for Gilda's Club of South Jersey. I think this year we raised just shy of $100,000. That keeps the building open.
Does
Sounds
this
like you've done your
involve
homework.
any fundraising for benefit? Or
Yeah, so we tend to partner with the community. They're actually on this agenda as well because they've got their 50-50 drawing.
the tricycle?
Yeah, we
Community Food
partner
Bank
with
of New
the
Jersey.
Community Food Bank. So there'll be a food drive component to it. There'll be the 50-50. They're going to be the beneficiary of the parking.
Okay.
We tend to work with
We'll
charitable
move right to that
organizations.
one after this. Anybody else have any questions?
Now, reviewing his plan here, I think he's touched on almost all the bases that,
Sounds like you've done your homework.
yep.
I've been doing this for 20 years. You know, the Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival is kind of the foundation of it. It's one of the largest beer and music festivals in the continental United States. And we started from scratch.
Mayor, I can move this.
If I can say something else, my daughter and son-in-law own the house right next door to the park. And in various times, people have gone through the fence and gone over to their beautiful home. Is there a possibility that you can make sure that, you know, if you're doing security, that the security, and I see it's pictured on your thing, the house with a big fence on it, they do go through.
I've actually talked to your son-in-law.
Yeah, they do go through, they do make themselves, oh, where's your bathroom? Where the bathrooms are right there. Yeah.
We're gonna, so for that piece, we're gonna add additional bathrooms. You know, we were there today just taking pictures of pieces. You know, we're putting together a pumpkin party for a bunch of kids to carve 200 pumpkins. So we're trying to figure out where we were gonna put stuff. And that was kind of one of the things we ran into today, was going through the restrooms and saying, you know what, we're gonna need restroom support with this many people. It's gonna put stress on the restrooms. But to your point, you know, best practice, ideally, you know, our security is going to be on the fence lines, you know, especially as the evening gets later. Earlier when people would try to sneak in, because, you know, if you're going to throw a good party, somebody's going to try to sneak in, right?
That'll be me.
Just say, this guy.
Yeah, I'll sneak in.
But, you know, our plan is to secure the perimeter, which is important for people coming in and coming out, because if somebody's underage, that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to sneak in. So we want to get a hold of that. You know, and we ask in our messaging, we ask everybody to be considerate of neighbors. We just produced the Down Beach Seafood Festival in Ventnor, and that was smack in the middle of a neighborhood. We got a lot of pushback. We got a lot of, in the beginning, after the fact, we got flooded with emails that said, hey, you did keep people off our lawns. We notified everybody before we got there. The plan stays the same.
Who's your targeted audience, your primary audience?
Believe it or not, women 26 to 32.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they're your ticket buyers.
Women?
Yeah. we have-
Well, I've been to other events that you've done, and I expect this one to be at the same level, so.
We're pretty excited.
have
We're excited. I mean, I live in the township. I live here, so it's, you know,
Yes.
it's nice to have an event that I can drive
it
10 minutes home to.
says here it's on October 19th,
Correct.
and from 6 to 10 p.m. What's it cost to get in?
So there was 3 stages. It started off at 45, and then a month later it went to 50. It's currently at 55. We do anticipate that we will sell out.
Okay. Do you have any problems, Mr. Solicitor?
I do not.
Good.
I thought we have a motion on the table, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions?
I would like a roll call.
Roll call.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mayor Schenker.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you.
Tomorrow,
Good luck.
10 o'clock?
afternoon, okay? What,
Yeah, no, I can swing back.
even like after 11?
Yeah, I got to swing by and drop off the campers list to the boathouse. So,
I'll have it
hey guys,
ready.
thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your support.
Appreciate you coming in and just letting us know what, this is,
This is all of us together.
every
This
new
is our
event's a
community,
new
man.
event, right? So we wish you luck,
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
do.
all right?
Appreciate you.
While we're on the subject, why don't we move to E2, which is a community,
D is next.
I can't do them out of order?
You can do it anything you want.
You just told me I couldn't, but let's do D, because I don't want you upset
I'm
at me.
going to go in the order it's on the agenda.
I like
I
that.
asked it this before.
Why do you gotta do this to me? All right, we're going with D, because I don't want to get in any more trouble tonight. Resolution approving acceptance of certified check in the amount of $7,200 in lieu of a maintenance bond for bid 2017-02 reforestation contract number 2, Carola Brothers Landscaping Incorporated, DBA D&R Landscaping. Mike, could you give us a little background on this so everybody understands what I just read?
This is what I was.
Or Bob?
The reason I asked this to be taken off was that the contract was for reforestation of a lot of trees. The contractor went out,
Yeah, this
he
is it.
planted a lot of trees.
Yeah.
About 24 of them died and have to be replaced. I used the 24 number because that was what the DEP gave to Remington Vernick. And at the last meeting, you authorized me to bring suit against the bonding company for the contractor. And when I spoke to the contractor, he said to me, I'm going to do it. I can't get the bond extended because that would cost more than what it's going to cost me to finish the job, significantly more. So I'm authorized to file suit by the end of September. I would like you to rescind that authorization, accept a certified check in the amount of $7,200, which is 24 trees times the approximate value of $300. And in doing so, you are protecting the township that this, A, will get done. B, you're acting in an absolutely business-friendly way.
Right.
Because once I call this this company's bond, there are implications to that that transcend this particular contract. For example, he's personally an indemnitor on the bond, and it could affect his bond rating for future jobs.
Yes, I understand.
So that's happening. The second thing is this is kind of a proof that our system is working. Through Rita's office, Jane sends out a list 90 days in advance where maintenance bonds are going to lapse. Our engineer goes out and does the inspection, authors a report, gets it to you so that you have enough time to direct me what to do. And maintenance bonds are different because they have a term, unlike a performance bond. A performance bond doesn't lapse until you say it lapses, but a maintenance bond has a term, finite. So the system's working, it's a business-friendly thing to do, and we're adequately secured that the project will get finished.
Okay. Just so, these trees were 300 apiece, that's how we.
On
came up
average.
with 7, yeah. That was the
Um,
original.
I'd like to move that.
I'll second it.
Before we, excuse me, just a second, we have to rescind your authorization to.
You do.
So that's the first motion?
Yes.
Can I make it part of the same resolution, Bob, the sample that's in your pack? Can I just add another motion, or do you want two separate?
Rescind first.
You can make it a separate resolution. I just don't want there to be something out there authorizing, directing me to do something I'm not going to do.
So we want to get rid of that.
Right.
So can you frame that for us?
Yes. The resolution would be to rescind the previous resolution directing your solicitor to take action against the maintenance bonding company for the reforestation contractor.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Your motion and second? I can do a roll call for that, correct, Bob?
No, you don't need one.
No?
Nope.
All those, any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, so then we'll move to D, resolution approving the acceptance of the $7,200.
So
I'll
moved.
make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Rita, can we get a roll call vote for that one, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Now I can go to E2.
Two was pulled basically because it was tied to the Witchcraft Festival.
Right.
I certainly have no problem with anything that supports our community food bank,
Right.
and it was described, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, so it is the Community Food Bank in New Jersey on premise 50/50 at the Witchcraft Festival on 10/19/19.
so I'll second
Your motion
John's.
and second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll move on to 8, personnel. Accept the resignation of Lou Green from the Veterans Advisory Board.
You know, first of all, I would say it's with regret that Lou is stepping down, but I did speak to him, and the number of years of service that he's given to the veterans of our community and the help that he's given at the mall have been invaluable. Hopefully, we can send him a letter of appreciation, Mike, and thank him for his many years of service. And of
Absolutely.
course, I would move that we accept it with regret.
Second.
I couldn't agree more, Roger. Very well said. We have a motion and a second. If there are any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Excuse me. B, resolution to change Tony Lucian's position classified from truck driver laborer 1 to truck driver laborer 2 upon recommendation of the Director of Public Works effective 9/17/19.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Is there a financial component to this?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's in the
Roll call.
contract.
yeah. We do a roll call vote, Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, motion to authorization to advertise for regular full-time truck driver labor.
move second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
aye,
All those opposed? The ayes have it. D, motion to authorize for advertisement of full-time regular deputy tax collector.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Number 9, approvals, minutes, regular meeting 9/3/19.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a
second,
second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
aye,
All those opposed? The ayes have it. B, payroll and bills, $1,837,927.12.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes,
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Move on to reports. Mr. Administrator. Mr. Solicitor.
Nothing.
Mr. Engineer.
Mayor and committee, I have a report dated September 16th, but I have some updated information, recent as of this afternoon on some of this information. The first is the Old Egg Harbor Road Bridge. As of this afternoon, and speaking with the county, the Atlantic City Electric has installed the switches that needed to be installed. The one switch on one side of the bridge was installed on Friday. Their contractor, who is going to drive piles, will be out there Wednesday. They feel as though it's a 1 to 2 day task, so piles will be completed, let's say, by Thursday. Public Works is scheduled to come in a week from today to start the construction of the replacement bridge. What I spoke to the county about, too, had to do with, John Kurtz at the last meeting suggested we should take a close look at the timing of the bridge, because that's, with the Halloween parade, that's a route of, for rerouting traffic through that area. So talking to the county today, I asked if there's any way the bridge could be completed by our Halloween parade. They feel as though it's a 4 to 6 week project, but what they're offering to us is the final part of that project is going to be the paving, and they're going to use their maintenance paving contractor to do the asphalt out there. So what I've suggested to them is if they could have that road, maybe DGA, the entrances, the approaches to the bridge, so that we could use that new bridge. It probably won't be asphalted on the approaches, but at least we can make it passable and have that as a route for our relocation, rerouting of traffic. So,
That would be great.
yeah, it was a good suggestion 2 weeks ago, and I took that to the county, and they're going to do everything they can to accommodate us.
just a question on that bridge. Going over that bridge it's very rough, at least the old bridge. Is this going to be smoother?
That's a very good question. I hope so. It's designed by the county. It's going to be installed by Public Works. They received all their NJDEP approvals. They're working with me on removing any of these tree limbs that are sort of blocking the flow. I haven't seen the design of the bridge. I hope it's smooth. I remember how you'd go over the bridge and you'd feel it underneath of you.
You sure
So,
would, yeah.
Well, if it's any indication, in the past years, when they did Holly Street, when they were finished building that particular bridge, the transition was relatively smooth. So I hope that they, as you know, and I can understand Rodney's concern, that, you wouldn't want to just juggle people's physical brain, as they go over that bridge, but it's also a frightening aspect when you feel the bridge is not stable.
Yes.
And-
When are they gonna learn they did a phenomenal job on Weymouth Road with that bridge? I mean, it's just
Did a good job on that.
blows my mind that they don't utilize the same procedure. So, but that's what it's happening.
Yes. So the other comments I want to make are Cotton Mill Bridge, where the county has made a little bit of progress. There's a labor agreement that the county council has now approved, and that labor agreement will be on the freeholders' agenda for October 1st. If that's approved, which, and the county engineering department feels as though that's highly likely that they'll approve that labor agreement, it will go out to bid very shortly after October 1st, and it's a 30-day bid process. So first or second week of November is when they're going to be looking at, accepting bids and making a recommendation, and that'll be the next step in the process. So it's progressing. It took 4 weeks for the county to approve that, whatever the wording, the labor agreement. So that's the latest update on Cotton Mill Bridge. I have a couple other items. Tavistock, Mr. Sandman helped me out by giving me a copy of the contract, not the contract, the agreement, the lawsuit agreement. I've read that a little bit closer. Roger Silva has been helping me with the final stages of what needs to be done and what can be done out of Tavistock. Roger and I met with Lou DeChico last Tuesday afternoon. We just want to make sure we're in the confines of the agreement and the lawsuit, and we want to try to satisfy the needs of the homeowners association out there, and make sure that the committee could support the recommendation. So Roger really helped with the meeting, and I'll be making a recommendation pretty soon to the committee. What I need to do at this point is go to the contractor, Arawak, and get bid prices on the items that are remaining out there that we could sort of pick and choose, provided we have enough money. We have $46,000 right now, and possibly up to another $20,000 under the original contract. So my job is to try to bring this project in on budget to satisfy not only Tavistock, but the committee, who's worked hard for years to get this to completion.
That's true.
I would just remind you that this project has already come in under budget. What was projected to be used was to take that pool of money and finish phases 3 and 4, wasn't it, Steve?
Yes.
The roadways, that's been done, and there's excess money left over.
Good.
And that includes the engineering cost to get that done. So it's kind of a plus.
Yes, it is.
Good job.
Well, I think when you look at it, when you consider when we first started this thing and where our solicitor was in the negotiations with what their first offer was from the bonding company, to where he was successful to get it up to the number that it was and get the amount of work that has been accomplished out there has been very satisfactory. I mean, riding through there is like night and day now in that area. And I think, whatever remaining money there is and what we're able to work out, I think is going to benefit the community and hopefully take the years of bad feelings that they had and sort of let them live in their community in peace now.
Well, I know I have gone through that community, and I do notice where it was originally paved, it looks grayish now. So I would be very hopeful to see some blacktop where it was gray, so it all looks uniform.
That's my goal right now.
All right.
The last thing I have on my list is we have 2 road projects. We have New York Avenue, which was, I received an approval today from the NJDOT for my plans and specifications, and the regular 2019 road program. So I'm ready to go out to bid. I just have to drop off specifications to Dorothy for her to do her review of the insurance portion of it. Once Dorothy approves that portion of it, I am ready to put both projects out to bid. Putting 2 projects out at once, we always hope to get better numbers if the contractor's looking at 2 projects in our town rather than just 1. So they're ready to go. And that concludes.
Lou, Steve, that's our road project too?
It is, yes. Yes. And, New York Avenue is 6/10 of a mile. When you come off of Route 40, the first 500 feet that was paved about a year ago. So it's at that starting point
To go.
to a point where the road starts to bend. It's about 6/10 of a mile. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Just, I don't know, there's Steve, you can answer this, or Mike, Cotillion, where are we at with that? Cotillion?
So, yeah, I just spoke with Kevin today. It's, he had to change some wording in it, and it's going back to the state for approval.
Okay.
It's in the
We
works.
have any idea where we're at, like, even getting started on it?
I didn't get an approximate date because I don't know how long the DOT turnaround would be, but I'll push it for that, and I'll send out.
All right, thank you.
Please, that road's in bad shape.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Township committee members, Judy?
I was driving on that road, the back road of Mays Landing Plaza, where Guy Tunney is the proprietor, and there's two really major holes again. Now, I hate to see it keep on happening, but he filled the other ones, but I had to wait for a person to go by me in order to go by that big holes. Are you familiar with that?
I am. It was a little frustrating last winter when we had the same problem, and we, I've turned to Bob for his suggestions and his help. That's actually a private road. I'll continue to put. I've noticed it recently. It's gotten bad. I will continue to put some pressure. I send photographs. I send, my personal safety concerns, and I send some strong letters, and I call the two gentlemen that own that roadway right now, and there's another third gentleman involved, and they all point to each other because it's in pieces back there with different block and lot numbers. But I will work on that, and Bob, if I need your help, I'll contact you.
That isn't solely a Guy Tunney's property?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Oh, okay.
The issue I have is that the way, when they do the repairs, they don't seem to put enough money into doing a proper repair.
Yeah.
So,
they don't redo it and then, as we would do it.
I have some thoughts on it, Steve.
okay.
The other thing that concerns me, and I don't know if it's just a rumor, that the dam is leaking. Is this true? It's leaking and the water level's going down, or is it we're controlling it and the water's going down?
The dam's not leaking.
The dam is not leaking. Good. That's what I wanted to establish. It's not leaking. How did people get that idea, or don't you?
There's just more water leaking through the pipes that is coming in from the river because of the lack of rainfall.
Oh, okay. So that's where they're getting the idea, that it's leaking. Okay, very good.
Of course, Brett, the water level is low because of lack of what? Rain.
Lack of rain. Yeah, because I could see on the other side a beach area. I was at Lenape Park, and you can actually see where is normally you can't see any beach at all. So, okay, well, are you out there creating the rain dance, or for all those people along the lake and they like to use their boats and stuff like that?
Can't use your boat. I can't get my boat out of this dock.
Yeah, you can't use it. Okay, that's about it. There was a little confusion on the first week of going back to school, at least some of my friends. They didn't get the buses picking them up, and I'm sure And then the second week, they only picked them up one day out of the whole week. So I hope things are smoothing out, and that was for Oakrest. So, yeah, I spoke to the person in transportation. She said that she would, take care of it. So the one person was a sole person that was to be picked up at a curb, and he was out there, but he just breezed right by him. So obviously a lot of people got to school, so that was a good thing. But I think we're getting better now. So hopefully we'll get everyone to school and everyone will learn what they're supposed to learn. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Judy. John?
I just wanted to mention that the Art in the Park that is hosted by the Historical Society is happening on Saturday, 9/21 this weekend. And also the Mays Landing Merchants Association Wine Festival Saturday and Sunday. So I'm encouraging everybody that can to try to get out and hopefully visit both locations on Saturday to the Historical Society's event at Art in the Park, and Saturday or Sunday to the Wine Festival. Weather should be nice, and hopefully we can see another 2 great events hosted here in our township. That's it.
Thank you. Roger?
For those of you that attended the 9/11 ceremony in the park, had to feel very satisfied with the presentation. And I call your attention, if you don't have a program with you, if you looked at the program that was given out that night, that there were 4 verses to the Hallelujah song that were, the lyrics were written by none other than our reporter sitting in the back of the room, Charlie Pritchard. And the choir sang it beautifully, Charlie. I mean, kudos to you. I mean, you did great. That's one of my favorite songs. And by the way, they did a great job presenting it. I know we kid around a lot with the attendance that we have at the various events, but I think it spoke for itself that evening. We might have been closer to 400 people, Charlie. I don't know if I'm relatively close with you and the Reverend, but to put on a ceremony like that for 40 minutes and have people gather around afterwards and feel happy that they every year come to this thing, I think it speaks a lot for the community as a whole and shows you how much people want to remember what happened that day and keep passing the message on down to people who weren't there. And I think it was a significant event, and I think those who were there enjoyed it. Maybe one time we could get the thing filmed, and we probably could even get it on the website. We'll see. So, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Roger. Rodney?
Good. I must add to each verse, the audience sang hallelujah. Did you sing along?
Pardon? You don't want to hear me sing, really.
Roger, did you sing along to the ending of that? Everyone sang hallelujah?
Yeah, I had to listen to it because I like all the different words. There's many different versions out there. I mainly like it when you find these groups like Pentatonics and Straight No Chaser who does it. But the Leonard Cohen version is different also. So you have a lot of different versions. But to hear this and the lyrics that Charlie put together on this thing are worth it. They're very notable. And
Yes.
Music-wise, they did a great job with it.
Rodney?
I'd just like to thank Reverend Ash for doing this again. And every year there's something a little bit different. Kind of wonder what his imagination is going to come up with next year. Certainly want to thank all the people that participated.
Well, he's a great guy, and he's a taskmaster, you know, and if you've been around him, you'd understand he's very meticulous, and the chief can tell you, don't let us get away with anything, does he, Chief? No. So,
All right.
I must add that Roxy did the narration,
yep, she did a great job.
and I have never heard her speak, and I was like total in shock that her voice was so clear and so crisp and very apropos. It was very nice to hear her. So.
Yeah, it was all very nice. Listen, it was an honor to be part of it, so I can't unfortunately, I'm looking forward to next year, just to see what they do. So it's a great night. I have an announcement to make for the Municipal Alliance Committee. October 16th, they're going to have Narcan training in our conference room A at 6 p.m. Participants will receive a free Narcan kit, and all this training is confidential, so anybody who's interested in that. Also, on the 23rd of October, there's going to be another, for parents, information on vaping at 6 p.m. in the courtroom. As you know, it's been in the news a lot lately that maybe this isn't so good for you, so any parents that want to understand it a little bit better, I think the training is very important, so you can help get your kids to understand it may not be such a good thing. Other than that, I'd like to announce that the Firemen's Convention was last week. Mizpah Fire Department came home with a lot of hardware, and I just want to read off to that what they received. Best appearing company in Atlantic County overall. Best appearing pumper, Class A, first place. Best appearing tanker pumper, second place. Best appearing pumper 0 to 5, second place. Special Judges Award. I can't tell you how proud we are of Mizpah for what they've done. They've had some tough years in the past couple years with some of the folks that they've lost, and they've held it together and represented Hamilton Township very well down in Wildwood. So I want to thank all of them for all the hard work. It's very hard to put all that equipment out there, and they made us proud. So
Amen.
that's all I have. I want to open up the floor to the public. Anyone want to speak in the public comment? Come on up.
Thanks. Jenny Ayers, 4812 Green Ash Lane. Thank you for moving that permit forward for the Witchcraft Beer Festival. John Henderson does a really amazing job, and security-wise, I think you'll find that there's none better when he runs an event. So, and every year they do a community food bank drawing at any of their events, so I think that that's really important for you guys to know as well. Mr. Mayor, can you repeat when the vaping training is? Because we had 2
23rd.
calls at the college today thinking it was there, so I'd like to be able to give the right information.
October 23rd
Thank you.
for the vape,
Here in Town Hall, right?
6 p.m. in the courtroom.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add a few extra comments on the MUA's move or potential move to the Underhill Park. There were some concerns that a few of you brought up, Mr. Mayor, about the parking. I think Mr. Blankenship was a little contradictory with a need for more parking at the current facility. He said that there are less and less people coming in to pay their bill, yet he needs more parking to move over there. The issue of parking with the sports groups over there and moving this facility there does not, I don't think it maintains proper planning on a community basis. Mrs. Link, you addressed cost. Part of the justification for the MEA using to move that facility was the cost to renovate the current facility versus the cost to build new. I think it was a stretch. It was close to $2 million for each. The building on Kenskull Avenue is a brick building. It's in very good shape. Even if I think they were speaking about $2 million, I think a more realistic figure to completely renovate that building, including floors, windows, new roof, HVAC, electrical, I think $500,000 might very well suit that purpose. So if now the estimate has gone from $2 to $2.5 million for this project over here. And if you spent the $500,000 to renovate, you'd have that same $2 million to put into the infrastructure. So in general, okay, I think if a closer look at it, you would find it's unnecessary and excessive expense and poor planning based on the new location, the loss of extra traffic in Mays Landing. We want to keep traffic. We want people visiting Mays Landing. I don't know that putting that building back on the tax rolls, especially when they say it's going to cost $2 million to renovate. So who's going to spend $2 million to renovate a building to occupy it that they say it will cost to renovate it, and who's going to use it? So if you closely examine their plan and their justification and all of the moves and the positives and negatives, I think it's a poor move on the part of the MUA. And given the fact that this board appoints to the MUA, and there's two representatives on the planning board, I think it would be important to really take a closer look at that move. Because I don't
It's a
think.
better structure they could choose.
Pardon me?
The local 152 building is vacant, across from Country Farms. It's up for sale. There's tremendous amount of parking in the back.
Right.
It's very visible from the street, and they can buy that very reasonable. I
Okay.
know the number, but I won't repeat it out here.
Okay.
But for a lot cheaper than
Well-
what they want to do, like under a 500,000.
So you have some inside information.
You
It
spend a
sounds
little
good
bit
to
of
me.
money inside, you got a 6,500 square foot building, it's visible, it's in town.
Right,
And I know John said once before that he was sorry he missed the bank.
right. So,
Another structure, it's off the tax rolls anyhow. And, you know, to preserve the downtown area with buildings that are fixed up invites a lot of people into the area.
so I think, bottom line, between the planning board and the,
And it would keep our water rates real cheap,
that's another reason.
and they are the cheapest around.
So I'm hearing a lot of reasons for not moving that building over there. So hopefully you guys can use your influence to move the MUA in a better direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to comment? Jim?
Yes, I agree with you, Roger. That building is the best for MUA. I don't know what street it's on now. Do you know what street it's on? One with that 152.
But again, we don't make that decision, they do. But I think at the point, it's a consideration when you're trying to keep the community in the downtown area together.
Yeah.
You don't like to see buildings constantly, you know, vacant and for sale.
Yeah.
So,
And that costs us too much light. Well, where's that building and what street is it on?
what's that side street right there, Brett, by Country Farms? It's on 50 and, what is it? 7th?
Okay.
Thank you.
That'd be
That
the best.
used to be in there, John, when it was Stockton, right?
Yeah, that's the best building for the MUA. That'd be easy to fix up.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else in the public like to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? No questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion for adjournment is in
I'll make
order.
that motion.
Adjournment, did you say?
All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
You can't talk to people.